Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Dragonic Blademaster standard deck profile for July 2019. This is the first release for the Dragonic Blademaster support for Kagero from the booster set, the Heroic Evolution. What I really do like is that they're kind of diverging paths and not focusing solely on Dragonic Overlord as a deck you have to build in standard. They gave us another option, which I really hope they do for a lot of other decks as well down the line. But Dragonic Blademaster focuses on the new Vision token, being a token you call out that can also do drive checks on your rearguard circle. So a very interesting playstyle. The whole focus of the deck is around Dragonic Blademaster and his retiring skills along with your other units that can retire. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off for the grade 3s, I am missing just 2 more Dragonic Blademaster. Sadly, was not able to pull any more from Sneak Preview. But it is your main grade 3 with a Vanguard continuous skill. If your opponent has no rear guards, this unit gets plus 5,000 and an extra critical. So as long as they have no rear guards, it retains this plus 5,000 in critical. So amazing pressure there for sure. And on the Vanguard, once per turn, if Wyvern Strike Doha and Wyvern Strike Garan are on your rear guard circles, you can Soul Blast 1, grade 3, and discard 2 cards from your hand. Retire all of your opponent's rear guards, call a Vision token to rear, and at the end of the turn, retire that token. Vision tokens are grade 3, 13k power, extra with a critical, and can twin drive, as it shows all on the token as well. So this is a very interesting skill, a completely different kind of take on, Kagero's playstyle for standard format as well. The retire all rear guards skill also helps to power up your first skill for the Vanguard if they have no rear guards, getting the plus 5 and critical. And you run 4 of Garan and Dohan as well for obvious consistency for the rear guard plays as well. But it can retire all your opponent's rear guards. It's insane for sure. So a definite good powerhouse. I like what they did with Blademaster for standard, especially a definite improvement to what the Stride format version of Blademaster was. And then lastly, for the backup grade 3, I want to run 4 Shine Bardish Dragon on Vanguard or rear when placed. Soul Blast 1, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Dragonic Blademaster from among them, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. And this unit gets plus 5,000 to end of turn. It's got Imaginary Gift Force, but it also just sets up your Dragonic Blademaster plays, being able to have this unit be your first ride target, so then you can grab Dragonic Blademaster and then ride it next turn, since it needs the Soul Blast grade 3 to get its skill off. So a good backup. I'm really glad they gave us this grade 3 to work with. I didn't really want to have to run, like a rare backup. It's something usable. It's good because it's also Vanguard or rear guard for just an easy Soul Blast as well with the deck. And then that is it for the grade 3s. Moving on to the grade 2s. Now, this is the one I was missing the most of, sadly. But you definitely need to run 4 Wyvern Strike Doha just for the consistency, and it's your main go-to play with Dragonic Blademaster. When placed from hand on rear guard, you counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 Wyvern Strike Garan, call it to rear, and shuffle your deck. So you have the easy search for Garan with just this card alone, which just helps the consistency for Blademaster insanely. And on rear, during the battle attack, if your opponent has no rear guards, your opponent cannot call normal units from hand to guard circle. So you just have that guard restriction as well, and just being able to set up Imaginary Gift Force for added pressure for Doha is an added bonus as well. And just that consistency to call out a grade 1 to assist with boosting Doha as well is an added bonus for sure, just for the fact that it's just a counterblast for searching Garan as long as you have the ones to call out ahead of time anyway. And also for additional grade 2s, just for a little generic backup, I run 4 Berserk Dragon, Vanguard or rear guard when placed, counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. And if this unit is on your Vanguard, draw 1 card. So just draw consistency so you can get the cards you need, especially the 3 main ones being Garan, Doha, and Blademaster, of course. But that retire skill can help early game take care of problems as well. And as long as you have the Soul for some of your other cards, you don't really necessarily need it as much as like some of the Dragonic Overlord plays that you ran with that deck, requiring like a Soul Blast 2 for some of its other skills. Most of the time with your cards in this deck, it just mostly requires a Counterblast for a lot of them for that. And Garan itself being able to Soul Charge, which we'll get to later on when we get to Garan in the grade 1s. But also to finish off the grade 2s, lastly, I am running 4 Dragonic Burnout. A very good card on rear. Once per turn, counterblast 1, put a grade 2 or greater card from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. I'd say this is the easiest way to retire units on your opponent's field with your grade 2 lineup. Just the consistency, it really plays back to the old Dragonic Burnout, putting cards back on the bottom of your deck. So being able to reuse Blademasters as well is very, very helpful. Putting it on the bottom, then being able to search with your Doha for the grade 1 and shuffling the deck to keep that consistency going as well. But burnouts retire definitely does help. Limiting it just with the once per turn is not too big of a problem. I think it'd be overused otherwise. But I like the 12 count grade 2 setup just for power plays, good cards to attack as well. So you want to remember that also. And then that is it for the grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s, I run 4 Wyvern Strike Garan. This is the other important card in the deck since it is needed for Dragonic Blademaster's main go-to play, having this and Doha on the field, but easily able to call out with Doha. But I still like to run the 4 of because it's a very good card. During your turn, if your opponent has no rear guards, it gets plus 5,000, so it's a 13k attacker or booster, depending on where you call it, obviously, on the field. And also when the attack it boosted Wyvern Strike Doha hits, you can counterblast 1, draw a card, and soul charge. So you're able to build up your soul for other cards like Berserker Dragon, and just that draw consistency as well for the pressure, along with an imaginary gift force circle. More necessarily the plus 10 imaginary gift force 1 and not imaginary gift force 2. That one plays more for the critical pressure that you can use on your Vanguard, but Garan with the plus 10 gives it so you have the 13k power along with the 10k boost, making it a 33k attack against your opponent with pressure that if it does hit, obviously you'll have that draw power to benefit from. And I also run 4 Flame of Hope ammo just to keep the consistency with the counter charges and also just the plus 3k boost, which a good amount of your grade 1s do, along with Garan and ammo being able to have that pressure for the power. And also when your opponent's rear guard is retired, which you do quite a lot in this deck, you can retire this unit to draw a card and counter charge 1. So as long as you keep that draw consistency, which we have with the majority of our grade 1s, which is very, very helpful with the decks, we can mill through it and get to the cards we need as well for our other plays. And I also run 3 Sable Dragonutes. Might bump this card up to 4 by changing my numbers of Flame of Hope ammo. Depends on just the consistency I want. I do like having a good ride target with Sable Dragonute. When an attack hits, you draw a card on Vanguard, so it's pressure when you go first. But if you go second, I prefer to call it to rear guard. When your opponent's rear guard is retired during your turn, retire this unit and draw a card. So just having that retire pressure with plenty of grade 2s that retire, actually all the grade 2s in this deck retire cards. So if you're able to make that benefit with this and ammo, you can draw quite a good amount of cards. Like I said, compared to some of the other grade 1s we run in the deck, I don't really like to ride these targets since they have much more beneficial effects on rear guard, where such Sable Dragonute has that good ride and attack when you go first, draw consistency pressure, because your opponent really doesn't like to waste guard circles on the first turn. They do like to take damage, so they can use for their own skills as well. And lastly, to finish off the grade 1s, I run 2 Lizard Soldier Rapia on Vanguard or rear. When your opponent's rear guard is retired due to your during your turn, it gets plus 5,000 until end of turn. I was debating how many of this I wanted to run, just for consistency. If I wanted to maybe drop down a grade 2 number, I might remove one of the Berserk Dragons to add in a third Rapia for those numbers. But I also considered dropping a grade 2 count for an additional Sable Dragonute. So I guess it just basically depends on what you want to run as a player for those cards. But Rapia's pressure for those units definitely does come in handy, just being able to have those numbers go up with all the retires on your opponent's turn that you can do with all your different cards in the deck as well. And then moving on to the grade 0s, I didn't really find it right to run Conroe in the deck. Wyvern Kid Lagra was the original grade 0 starter that Mamoru ran in the Kagero deck during the Stride format as well in his deck. And it's the same effect, basically. There's no skills that specifically need this card, like White Tiger does for Nova Grappler, but just having us a different starter, I think is very, very cool that they would do something like this for us for the deck. And I also decided to trade up the trigger lineup, still going with the 8 critical critical, so 4 Angry Thorn Dragon as the new critical. I'd say fitting for the Dragon deck, and 4 Embodiment of the Spear Tar. You can run a critical lineup of 12 if you wish in the deck. You would just have to adjust some of your grade 1 lineups for perfect guards, but I still like to run the 4 draw for the Kagero deck for the consistency. So 4 Wyvern Guard Bar 8, just when you damage check this card and it goes for the draw power, it definitely does come in handy. And the 4 Dragon Monk Genja. I really wish we would have gotten a Dragon, heal trigger or a Dragon Dancer, but we'll stick to the Monk Genjo until, maybe later down the road we do get a different one. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.